Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Rachel, and in today's video, I'm just going to be doing kind of like a chill, spend the weekend with me reading vlog. I have two books that I would like to get read this weekend. I also have some book mail that I want to open. I have a lot of Pango books orders that I need to ship, and Sean is actually going to be out of town this weekend for work, so it's just going to be me and my cat having a girls weekend, and I thought it'd be fun to bring y'all along and just kind of have a chill, like spend the weekend with me moment. So the two books that I'm planning to read this weekend are number one, Happy Place by Emily Henry. I believe that this is like a second chance fake dating romance. And then the other book is Slaying the Vampire Conqueror by Carissa Broadbent, which is a standalone fantasy romance set in the Crowns of Nyaxia series. And then I'm also slowly working my way through my reread of A Court of Silver Flames. I've just kind of been picking this up when I'm not vlogging, when I don't really have anything to read. This is my favorite book. I love it so much, and I've really enjoyed the reread thus far, so I'm sure I'll pick this up a little bit this weekend as well. So yeah, I wanted to vlog my weekend, vlog my experience, especially with Happy Place and Slaying the Vampire Conqueror. Two recent releases, two books that I have been very excited for, and then kind of just share my thoughts on them with you all. It's also going to be so nice this weekend. It's actually 80 degrees right now. It's going to be 80 tomorrow, and I definitely want to get outside, go for a walk, do something like that. So I think we're just going to have like a chill, fun, easy breezy weekend. So that is what today's vlog is going to be. So it's Friday night now. I just filmed my May TBR. I'm going to edit that, get that scheduled for Sunday, and then I'm just going to be hanging out with Sean tonight. We're gonna eat dinner, maybe go for a walk, spend some time outside. And then this weekend, I'm just gonna be reading and living and laughing and loving. So it's gonna be a good time, and I'll just sort of take y'all along through my reads and what I do over the next few days. So that is going to be it for this intro. I will talk to you guys once I have picked up a book. Hi friends, happy Saturday. It's me in the exact same spot that I was for the intro for this clip. Apologies. It is just so bright and sunny in my living room right now that if I sit anywhere else, I'm gonna be completely washed out. So holding it down on this part of the couch, but I wanted to provide my first check-in because I ran some errands this morning. I also got to the 50% mark of Happy Place, so I need to let you guys know my thoughts on that and just catch you up to speed. I got up this morning, I went and got a coffee, and then I went to Barnes and I went to Ulta to pick up just some makeup that I had ran out of. I came home and watched some booktube, and I just had like a really nice relaxing morning. I took a walk as well. As I said, I also did some reading, and I got to the 50% mark of Happy Place. So had a very productive day so far, but also like feel pretty relaxed and just, you know, had a really great day. I wanted to discuss the book that I bought at Barnes & Noble. I must be Patrick Starr because I have been living under a rock, because up until literally yesterday, I had no idea that this book existed. But it was funny. Yesterday I filmed my May TBR, and then afterward I was like scrolling on Instagram and I see this book mentioned like 4 times, and people saying, oh, my most anticipated release of the year is here. I'm so excited for it. And I'm just thinking, what is this book? I've never seen this in my life. I've never heard of this. I hadn't heard of the author. I was just completely oblivious to this book's existence. But now after looking into it, I'm like, oh, this is like the most important book on my TBR now. So that is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. So as I said, I had absolutely no idea what this was about, but when I went and looked it up on Goodreads, I saw that it was a new adult fantasy romance with dragons, and it's spaced at like this war college, and it said for fans of Throne of Glass, Zodiac Academy, and Divergent. And I was like, where have you been all my life? Like, what? I cannot believe that I had no idea that this book existed, but I am so happy that I know now and it's in my hands. And so this book is not on my May TBR. That video should already be up, but just know this is like #1 priority for the month of May. I am so excited for this. I've seen a lot of really great reviews of this book from people who have already picked it up and read it. I'm so excited, especially for a traditionally published fantasy romance. I like to see that. I feel like there's not a lot of it. So I'm really hopeful that this book delivers, and I'm just excited. I literally cannot wait to read this. And also, like, look at her. She's so stunning. And then the sprayed stenciled edges, Barnes & Noble, like finally, because I'm pretty sure it's Waterstones that they do this pretty often for like the Waterstones editions of books, but I feel like Barnes & Noble never does this, so I'm happy to see it. I hope that they do it more because I feel like it just makes the book extra special. And like, look at that. There's freaking dragons on the pages. I think they're dragons or they're wyverns, but yeah, I'm so excited to read this. Literally as soon as I finish Slaying the Vampire Conqueror, I will be reading this. So super excited and really hope that I like it. So let's talk about Happy Place. I have been reading this on my Kindle, which is in here. And as I said, I'm at about 50%. I think I'm at like 48% of the way through this book. This book has been an interesting experience thus far. I will say I went into it with like a little bit of trepidation just because my experience with Emily Henry's books have been like a little all over the place. I will say Beach Read and People We Meet on Vacation are 5-star romances for me. I freaking loved them so much. They gave me this instantaneous 5-star feel, overjoyed, and that stayed with me throughout the entirety of reading those books. So I love those. I do definitely consider myself like a fan of Emily Henry, and I'm always excited to see what she comes out with. I read Book Lovers when it came out last year, and unfortunately that book did not work for me. I gave it 2 stars. It just didn't read like a romance to me. I felt like the romance was a subplot, and I just wasn't into all of the other factors that that book entailed. So even though I thought the writing was great because Emily Henry is great at writing, you know, that one was a bit of a letdown for me. So picking up Happy Place, I was just kind of like, okay, I'm gonna go in, I'm not gonna have any preconceived notions, I'm just gonna see what the story has to offer. I will say at the 50% mark, I am enjoying quite a few aspects of this book, but I will say right off the bat, it did not give me that like overwhelming, oh my god, I love this so much feeling. And not every book has to do that, but when 2 of her previous books have done that for me, it does make me kind of compare them a little and go, okay, maybe this won't be a 5-star read. And it's still early, and the second half of the book, you know, could really impress me and surprise me, but I just don't have that like instant connection type of feel. It's pretty good right now, but I am just, I don't know, there's something a little bit missing for me, but I'm totally like still keeping an open mind and want to see what the second half of the book has to offer, of course. Very quickly, if you don't know what this book is about, I'm sure most people do, but it follows Win and Harriet. And Harriet, she is our main character. She and Win were engaged, but they broke up, but they have not told any of their friends. And their friends organize this like yearly trip that they all have always taken together over the years to this vacation home in Maine. And when she shows up, her ex-fiance Win is there. And she had no idea he was gonna be there, but she quickly finds out that someone is getting married this week, so that's why Win was invited. Harriet and Win broke up but haven't told anyone because they haven't all been able to talk in person, and it's been really painful and really hard. So everyone thinks that Harriet and Win are together, and so they thought, of course, we're gonna invite both of them. And when Harriet gets there, at first she wants to tell everyone and be like, we're not together, like this is not what this is, but because someone is getting married, they don't want to like taint the week with that. They don't want to like put a stain on this whole week of ruining someone's wedding week. And you know, they put so much hard work into this, and they're like, you know what, we can pretend for a week that we're still together to make everyone happy, and then when this is all over, we'll let everyone know. No big deal, right? Well, it does prove to be difficult for these two to pretend to be together, so there's that fake dating aspect. There is the one bed trope because of course people think, well, you guys would stay in the same room, which I'm a sucker for the one bed trope. It is so predictable, and I swear to God, it is in every single romance, but I love it so much. Every time I see that there's gonna be a one bed trope in a romance, it's like the first time all over again. So I was happy to see that. And so that is our present day situation. And then there's also a dual timeline of going back in time to when Harriet and Win first met, how they got together and all of that. And they met in college, and they've got this like big friend group, which has this really sweet found family aspect. And I really love that, love found family as well. And you know, one thing with this book, especially with comparing it to like Book Lovers, which is, you know, obviously my most recent experience with the Emily Henry book, this does feel very romance centered as of right now. I feel like Harriet and Win's situation, what they've been through, what they're currently going through, how that is affecting their ability to work in this friend group. That feels at the center of the plot, which I am very happy about. And I feel like the friendship things are just adding to that storyline, but they don't feel like they're overshadowing the romance. Kind of the shining light of this book is I love Harriet so much. I relate to her quite a bit. She's a people pleaser. She worries a lot. She is the type of person I think who is more concerned with making other people feel good and comfortable, and like might even sacrifice her own feelings and emotions and opinions in order to do that. I can relate 100% to that. You know, it's definitely something that reading it, I felt was so relatable. I connected to, and I was like, yep, that's me. This hurts a little bit. I really liked that. And I think one of Emily Henry's strengths, and this is in all 4 of her books, is she has such a like relatable writing style, and she writes really relatable quotes, and I think she's a fantastic writer. You know, that's never been the issue. And I think that she has such a great way at bringing in her audience and making people feel seen in her books. And I think that that's such a strength of hers, and I definitely feel that with Harriet more than any other of her main characters. I think that this book has a lot of positives, but I'm just not as engaged as I have been in the past with like Beach Read and people we meet on vacation. So I don't think that this book, as of right now, it doesn't stand out with like anything super negative. It's just, I'm a little bit bored. And maybe where I'm at in the book, I feel like maybe the middle is just suffering a little bit, and things are gonna take a turn here towards the end of the book, and I'm going to be like, okay, we're setting up conflict and whatever, and I'll be curious to see what the conflict is. It's perfectly fine at this point, but I'm just not overwhelmed with my enjoyment of it, and that's just, it's disappointing because I have been so in love with her books before, and I always am chasing that feeling with her, and it's happened in 2 books. Super didn't happen with the last book, and then I'm kind of like floating somewhere in the middle with Happy Place right now. So that is where I am at, but I am 100% ready and eager for this book to change my mind going forward, to engage me a little bit more. The only thing that gets me super excited about this book is Harriet. I love her, but as far as the construction kind of just of this plot and how things are moving, it's getting a little slow. It's, my interest is waning slightly as the book goes on. I don't know. It's hard when you're reading a book and you like certain aspects, but then you also don't like certain aspects, because I don't even know how to talk about it. That's where we're at with Happy Place. I don't know. I'm really hoping that the second half of this book just picks up and changes my mind, and I know we're gonna get conflict. I've heard that there's potential like friendship conflict, so I'll be curious to see how I feel about that. But I am kind of looking forward to seeing how Harriet and Wynn's relationship progresses, or like what's gonna happen there. I'll be curious to see how Miss Henry wraps this thing up. So that is where I'm at with Happy Place. Essentially, I'm just all over the map with it. I'm feeling lots of different feelings. My plan for this evening, I'm going to edit. I'm gonna finish Happy Place. I would like to start Slaying the Vampire Conqueror maybe later tonight, and I'm probably just gonna chill and eat dinner and hang out with Ivy, my cat. And then tomorrow I want to start packaging up my Pango Books orders, and we'll just chit chat and have a silly goofy time together. So I will talk to you guys either later tonight or tomorrow morning. I'll give you guys kind of my final thoughts on Happy Place, and then also start Slaying the Vampire Conqueror. Hello, so it is just a little bit later. I have started Slaying the Vampire Conqueror. I just have like a very quick reading update for that, but I just wanted to kind of give you guys a little taste of what I'm thinking of. And then I'm also going to open my book mail right now. So very exciting stuff. But really all I want to say about Slaying the Vampire Conqueror, it is a fantasy romance. It's standalone, and it is an enemies to lovers fantasy romance. I barely scratched the surface. I'm like 10% in, but I just wanted to talk about that before I unboxed these packages. I have like 4 books, I think, that I got. I think they're all fantasy romance too. So that is fantastic. So this first one is from Pango Books. I've been collecting the UK editions of the ACOTAR series. I have ACOTAR, ACOMAF, and I needed ACOWAR, and I found one for a really good price on Pango, as these are not in print anymore because these are like the older versions. Oh my god, okay. This is so beautiful. I just really like this cover, really like the spine. I don't know what it is. I've just been collecting this series. Obviously these are all used editions because this is out of print, but I've just always found the look of these particular editions to be really beautiful. Oh, I'm really excited to have this. Oh my god, they gave me a bookmark, which is so nice. That is so cute. It says the best way to start your day is a cup of coffee and a good book. Adorable. That is so great. So really happy that I have this. Then we have this. I'm very excited for this. So this is the hardcover edition of The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King by Carissa Broadbent. Do I have the paperback edition? Yes. Did I also order the hardcover edition? Yes. Am I keeping both? Yes. I just really wanted to read that book physically when it came out, and only the paperback was available right away, but I needed the hardcover to match my hardcover of The Serpent and the Wings of Night. So very happy that I have this. It's in excellent condition, brand new. And then, oh my gosh, I love that Carissa has these like really pretty naked books. Love that. I just finished this a couple days ago and it was amazing. It was 5 stars. It's definitely gonna be on my best books of the year. It was my most anticipated read of the year and it did not disappoint. So really happy about this. All right, and then I have 2 books in here. These are both second books in a series that I have recently started. So first we have A Curse of Blood and Stone by K.A. Tucker. So this is the second book in the A Fate of Wrath and Flame series, I believe. I think it's gonna be a trilogy, but I really like the physical editions of these books. This is a fantasy romance, and it starts out with our main character in New York City, but then she goes to like this elven realm and has to kind of pretend to be someone else, and it gets really crazy, and there's kind of this romance between her and this elven prince who hates her. I gave the first book a 3.5-star rating, but I liked it and was curious to continue on with the series. I feel like the romance could have been a little bit more at the forefront of that book, but I thought it was fun, and I feel like with the setup that we have at the end of book 1, book 2 might bring us more romance. So I'm looking forward to reading this. All right, and then, I got this brick, Blood Solace by Vela Roth. So this is the second book in the Blood Grace series, and I read Blood Mercy, just a few weeks ago, and I really loved it. I gave it 4 stars. It is an epic fantasy romance, and these books are just so stunning that like I have to have them physically. And like, look at that spine. Oh my god, it kind of reminds me of Lover. Love that. This is beautiful. This is like a painting. Oh my god. Okay, so really excited to have this. This one's a lot floppier too than book 1, which is nice. I really love Leo and Cassia, and I'm just super excited to see all of the scheming and romance that is going to happen in book 2. All right, so that is my little book unboxing for this vlog. I'm actually going to be doing like a huge book haul in the month of May. I have not done a book haul this year. I did do like a birthday unboxing. I'm not going to include those books, but I think the last time I did like just an official book haul was in like mid-December. So I have been keeping track of all the books that I've got since like end of December to now. So I have a ton of books. It's going to be my biggest book haul ever. That will be out sometime in May, and I'm really excited to do that because I just want to show you all what I have been adding to my collection. Hi friends, happy Sunday. So I actually ended up staying up quite late last night finishing Happy Place. So I didn't want to film kind of my final thoughts right then. I wanted to let my feelings marinate a little bit, sleep on it, and come to you fresh with kind of my final thoughts on Happy Place, and particularly what I thought of the latter half of the book. And I am sad to say that this book just ended up not really working out for me. I am gutted, just like I was with Book Lovers, at my kind of disappointment with this book, because I've just had so much success with Emily Henry's books in the past, and I just am constantly chasing that feeling with her. And I thought that there was like potential in the beginning of Happy Place. I mean, it wasn't going to be a 5-star, but I had, you know, some hope in the beginning of the book. But as the story went on, my interest waned a bit, as I said. And then also I just kind of had some problems with some of the things that happened later on in the book. So I'm really sad, and I'm sorry. I know that everyone loves this book, and I wish I was part of the Cool Kids Club, but it didn't work for me personally. I didn't connect. I think that there were like things that I was meant to feel while I was reading the book, and I didn't. So I didn't connect. And yeah, let's talk about that. So second half of the book, kind of my 2 biggest things that sort of lost me a bit was, number 1, the breakup between Harriet and Win. I did not love kind of how all that went down. It was essentially a form of miscommunication, and the miscommunication trope, it's just one of my least favorite tropes. I think that for it to be done well, there has to be so many factors involved that I don't think were achieved here, and it didn't really make a lot of sense to me. I know that there was a mental health component and there was a grief component that affected some decision making, which I totally understand, and I am 100% sympathetic to. Like, I get that. I get that aspect of what went down, but it still was hard for me to kind of wrap my head around things when these 2 people have been together for 8 years. The buildup of the relationship that we saw kind of in the flashback chapters was, I think, very nice, and they seemed to be really solid and really connected. So for the demise of the relationship to be essentially because of things left unsaid and, you know, probably could have been resolved with just being open and talking to one another. I'm never gonna be a fan of miscommunication, you know, or if I am, it's a rare instance when I am. So I just didn't like how that went down. That whole situation didn't quite endear me to Harriet and Wyn and their relationship as I think it probably was meant to. So that was unfortunate. And then I also feel like the friendship conflict that happened, once again, it was kind of another form of miscommunication. I don't know, the buildup of the friendship throughout the book, I guess I just don't really know what purpose the argument between all of them serves. And as I said, it was miscommunication that just needed to be resolved with speaking to one another. It just doesn't work for me. I don't really feel that some of these conflicts are earned in my mind. You know, we're gonna have conflict in books, in romance, in friendships, all of that, but I need there to be something else besides miscommunication, I guess, because to me that is pretty simply resolved. I don't know, I didn't feel moved by that friendship argument and whatever, and it was resolved very quickly, so it's kind of whatever to me, you know. I don't hate it, but I didn't feel that it was necessary, I guess. I also think that the end of the book went very quickly. I think that things were wrapped up very, very fast, particularly with Harry and Wyn and kind of Wyn's whole situation at the end of the book. I feel like all of that just moved very quickly, and while I did not love the conflict, particularly between Harriet and Wyn, if that's what it's gonna be, I wish that it had happened maybe a little bit earlier in the book so we could have seen Harriet and Wyn work through those things. I feel like I might have enjoyed things a little bit more if we could see the two of them really work through some of the issues that they had, but it went very quickly for me. The plot construction, I guess you could say, is not one that I was very much a fan of. And also, you know, I mean, as I said in my last check-in, when I got to around the 50% mark, I was like, this is all right, but my interest was waning. I was getting a little bit bored. I will say though, positives for this book, the first like third of this book did start out pretty strong for me. I liked Harriet as a main character, and I still do, by the way. I don't agree with every decision she made. I don't agree with like everything, but she is relatable. She is somebody that I can definitely see a bit of myself in, and the relatable writing that Emily Henry has, I'm always gonna enjoy. There were some great quotes in this book. I also think, I forget if I mentioned this in my last check-in, but there was a kind of really beautiful setup for this atmospheric romance where we're in New England and we're at this beautiful vacation home, and you know, I'm somebody who has been to New England and this part of the country quite a bit, so I really liked that. I'm a sucker for an atmospheric romance, and I do think that Emily Henry is really good at doing that, at creating kind of this vibe, really pulling you in and making you feel very cozy. So I did enjoy that. In the beginning of the book, I was like, okay, I'm optimistic. I don't think it's gonna be a 5-star, but you know, maybe like a solid 3-star. But as the book went on, I was just a little bit disappointed with the way that things were revealed, and I feel like the explanations for a lot of things that happened later on, it's hard to talk about too without getting too spoilery, but I just was a bit disappointed with the use of miscommunication in this book, and just did not endear me, I think, as much as it was probably supposed to these characters. I'm not like hating this book or anything like that. I didn't feel a ton for it, and I wanted to feel so much more. So I decided I'm gonna give this book a 2.5-star rating. I do think that there are some positives from this book, but overall my experience was just not the greatest, just leaving the book feeling pretty lackluster. So I'm sorry to my M-Hen girlies. Trust me, nobody is more disappointed than I, but unfortunately that's showbiz. So that is it for my Happy Place review. Hi friends, happy Tuesday and happy May. This weekend reading vlog is just turning into a general vlog very quickly. That feels right, I guess. But I'm here to talk to you guys about my thoughts on Slaying the Vampire Conqueror. I am about a third of the way through the book. I'm really enjoying it thus far. So I kind of forget what I said. I haven't edited the clip before this yet, but in this book we are following a main character named Selena. I think that's how it's pronounced, Selena or Silena. I'm just gonna say Selena. And she is a member of the Arakessan people, that's how I'm gonna pronounce it. And they pray to the goddess Acacia. And so that's different than Nyaxia. And they are kind of this group of people who, I mean, people call them a cult, I don't know. They are definitely a religious people, and they dedicate their life to serving the goddess. So much so that part of their kind of initiation into this group is sacrificing their eyesight for the goddess. But in return, they get this really amazing power and sense where they can't see things, and they wear these like blindfolds over their face. You can see that in the cover of the book, but they can sense things with like these threads. So while Selena isn't physically seeing things in front of her, she knows what everything is in front of her. Like she can perfectly describe what a person looks like. She can perfectly describe what a landscape looks like. Her abilities are extremely strong and cool, and I just think it's a really interesting touch and like magic system. And she has the ability to also like telepathically communicate with her sisters in this group with her, and it's just a really interesting and cool whole group of people and magic that they have. So I really like that. And the book starts out and Selena and her sisters, they're on this like mission. They're kind of like assassin-esque type of people taking out bad guys, and one of their sisters gets murdered by this vampire conqueror. Obviously this sets Selena off to be very hurt, and after some discussion within the Arakessan people, it is decided that Selena is gonna go and not really like get retribution for her sister. I mean, in her mind, she feels that way, but the members of the Arakessan, they talk to the mother and the fates, and they feel like this vampire conqueror, he's gonna be a big problem for their country, for their land, for them. And they have asked Selena to go and take out the old vampire conqueror. He is a vampire himself from the House of Blood. So we have another vampire love interest with horns, which is so fun. And Selena is very ready to act out this mission. So Selena is like, yep, I'll go infiltrate, I'll go get their trust, and then I will take him out. That's kind of where I am at now. Selena has successfully infiltrated. She's gaining the trust of everyone around her and is at some point going to have to execute this man. But methinks that she is going to fall for him because he is already just so dreamy. I can't. She definitely is, you know, gaining feelings for him quickly, whether she wants to or not. She's very much trying to, you know, put up a front of this guy is terrible and he killed my sister and all of that, but he's just very kind to her and is actually quite trusting with her. So it's a very interesting juxtaposition. I love the I'm supposed to kill you, but trope. It is wonderful. That's kind of what this book is about, and I'm excited to see more of what happens, see more of Selena, and then Atreus is our love interest's name, Atreus and Selena's journey. And we've got some really great side characters too. There's a character, I think his name is Ericus. He is so funny. He's kind of like the captain of the guard, and he watches over Selena, make sure that she doesn't get into too much trouble, and he's just hilarious. I really like him. He provides this kind of bit of comedy in the book. I will say, like, my favorite thing about the book thus far though is it's just opening up the world that Carissa has created so much more. As I said, it's really fantastic and amazing how much lore she is creating and just opening up so much more of what we have seen from the other two main books in this series, The Serpent and the Wings of Night and The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King. Like, there's just so much more going on in this world, and it just makes me really excited because I'm just so curious to see what else Carissa has up her sleeve for this world as a whole and the series, and I just think it's really cool. The only like negative feels negative, but the only mildly negative thing that I have to say about this book, and I'm not mad at it, it's not gonna like ruin my life or anything, but it was pretty easy for Selena to infiltrate this apparent big bad group of vampires, and that all happened very quickly. I would have liked, I think, to see it be a little harder for her, a little more of a struggle, a little bit more of the plot to consist of her trying to make that happen. I'm not gonna be like too nitpicky about that, but it was just something that I was kind of like, that was a little bit easier than I think it should have been. But you know what, Selena? You are a bad bee, but it was just like, very quickly she was in there and, you know, hanging out with everyone. So that was just kind of one thing that I noticed that I do wish kind of got drawn out a little bit more, but not gonna be something that ruins my experience with the book for sure, just something of note. But that is kind of my thoughts right now with Slaying the Vampire Conqueror. I'm gonna read more tonight. I need to go now and ship my Pango Books orders, kind of get that all taken care of because I have books everywhere and packages everywhere. So yeah, that is kind of going to be it for this update. I'm gonna read more of Slaying the Vampire Conqueror tonight and either talk to you guys tonight or tomorrow, let you know more of my thoughts on it. Hi friends, how are we? This lighting is hurting my feelings. So let's wrap this up very quickly. I am here to close out the vlog and let you guys know I finished Slaying the Vampire Conqueror, and chef's kiss, gorgeous, stunning. Another wonderful fantasy romance work of art from our Lord and Savior, Carissa Broadbent. I just really appreciated how much this opened up the world. I'm just so curious and excited about these House of Blood vampires. I feel like we got little peeks into them, which I know will play a role further on down in the series. I loved our two main characters, Selena and Atreus. Atreus? Yeah. Yes, he is a new book boyfriend. I'm happy to say we have a new one to add to the roster. He's wonderful, horns and all, love him so much, and it was a really great enemies to lovers, but more kind of like should be enemies forbidden romance, but he ended up being a really, really just caring and wonderful love interest for Selena. I liked seeing her kind of come into her own, and she had a bit of a journey. There were a lot of twists and turns. I think overall this book is super, super strong. I had such a good time. Really, really happy, but also can't believe I am now caught up with all of Carissa's books. Oh, also, Carissa has said that her favorite spicy scene that she has ever written is in Slaying the Vampire Conqueror. And I have to say, I concur. I am glad we're all on the same page with that, Carissa, because 10 out of 10, wonderful, amazing. Somebody give that girl a Pulitzer, you know what I mean? Overall, I had a really, really fantastic time reading that book. Really, really loved it. Just another beautiful vampire fantasy romance that has wormed its way into my heart. So, to wrap this vlog up, we did some book shopping. That was very fun. I'm so excited to start Fourth Wing. I got some amazing book mail. I read Happy Place, and that is a book. That is a book that does exist. Don't think any of us can deny that. I'm sorry I didn't like it. I mean, I'm not like sorry I didn't like it because like we can all have our opinions, but I wanted to, you know, please know. It gave me no joy giving that rating, but it had to be done. And I was very happy to be ending this vlog and these last few days with reading fantasy romance, Slaying the Vampire Conqueror. Really, really strong, absolutely loved the enemies to lovers, the slow burn, the tension, the plot was fantastic. If there's one thing Carissa is going to do, it's write an interesting plot and a very tension-filled romance. So she delivered once again, as we knew she would. So that is going to be it for me. Thank you so, so much for watching this video. I appreciate you. If you made it to this point right here in the video, let's leave a cat emoji because my cat is staring at me right now because I haven't fed her yet and it is dinner time. Please make sure that you are following my Instagram and my Goodreads. Both are always linked down below. I really, really do appreciate that you watched this video. I hope that you guys are having a fantastic day. I love you all so, so much, and I will catch you guys in the next one.